A provocative new book is raising all sorts of new questions about when parents need to start talking to their kids about race. And it's a lot earlier than you think. In his book, Nurture Shock, our newsmaker tonight, Poe Bronson, says it's important for parents to confront their kids with some of these issues at a very young age. He says the science shows us that young children are often noticing skin color a lot younger than you think. Listen.
Even at 6 months old, children will stare longer at photographs of people of a different race than their parents. Their young brains are trying to make sense of what this skin color difference means, and it's taking them longer to process it. It's not that there's any racial or ethnic meaning to it per se, but that does come on pretty quickly.
And you also found that toddlers notice it even more so than differences in gender, right?
3-year-olds have handed a deck of cards with a bunch of kids' faces on them, and if you ask those 3-year-olds, pick out which ones will be your friends or would you'd like as friends, a vast majority of kids actually pick out friends only of their own race. And by the time they're 5 years old, if you hand them the same deck of cards and you ask them to sort it into 2 piles any way that they want and mention not race at all, the 5-year-olds, 16% will use gender to sort the piles, but 68% will use skin color to sort the piles.
So why? What's behind this, or what do we think is behind this?
Kids' brains are trying to categorize the world, Campbell, and they're trying to make sense of things. And by essentialism, they make this categorical mistake. They assume that people who look like them share the same things and like the same things that they like, and therefore are more similar to them. And what this hints at is that we shouldn't avoid talking about race to our kids, or especially avoid talking about skin color. Kids need to hear about skin color the same way they hear about gender, that boys and girls can grow up to do anything, that people of different skin color are all our friends, and it's a very neutral and safe way to talk about it without passing on old racial attitudes.
But it's funny, I know there was also a lot of research you looked at that shows these conversations are very difficult for parents to have.
Many parents do find it uncomfortable to talk about race with their kids, but it's not just because they're afraid of race. It's more that they've decided, and I certainly was one of them, I had decided that it was hypocritical. I didn't want to point out to my daughter, well, people have different skin colors, and then point out, but skin color doesn't matter. No matter your skin color, you can be our friends. It seemed weird, like why point it out if it doesn't matter? And so parents who want to embrace diversity are making the choice to avoid talking about race, thinking that is the very best way to raise their children. But the science is saying something different. It's saying that in the absence of communication from parents, young kids' brains prone to categorization will make errors and will make some of the wrong judgments, and it's very helpful. It's really good for kids to hear that people of all skin colors are equal and that nobody is inferior.
So what about older children who go to diverse schools? Does that change attitudes?
Unfortunately, what goes on is self-segregation in schools. And it turns out that self-segregation by skin color goes up as school diversity goes up. And the result is you can go to quite diverse schools and not necessarily be learning to embrace people of every race.